Good afternoon. It is 1 o'clock, Tuesday, November 12th, 2019. We are here for the regular trustees meeting. We will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Before we begin, if I may, I would like to have a moment of silence in remembrance for Detective Jorge Del Rio. Thank you. Moving on, we have an agenda before us. Do we have any additions, modifications, or alterations?
Board, I need to add to the executive session dismissal and discipline, still under the same code section. So it'll be 121.22G1 to consider the employment, dismissal, discipline, and compensation of a public employee.
Any other additions? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda as modified.
So moved?
Second.
Ms. Wallace?
Yes.
Mr. Kratz?
Yes.
Mr. Roberts?
Yes.
I move to accept the general ledger report in the amount of $353,258.26 for the 11/6/19 payroll.
Second.
Ms. Wallace?
Yes.
Mr. Kratz?
Yes.
Mr. Roberts?
Yes.
Make a motion to accept the payment listing report in the amount of $83,345.61 for warrants through November 7th, 2019.
Second.
Mr. Kratz?
Yes.
Ms. Wallace?
Yes.
Mr. Roberts?
Yes. We have no minutes. And I believe we have a citizen desiring to speak.
Deborah Wallace, 304 Bellwetland Court, Beavercreek, Ohio. I would like to thank the city of the Beavercreek Township and Alex and Ed Amarin for their fantastic presentation to 6 Russian delegates that were here from Friendship Force through the Open World program with U.S. Congress sponsored. They did a fantastic job to the point where the delegates had asked them to come to a social event just so they could talk to them more about planning and transportation. So I'd like to make sure that they are thanked and that our township trustees were very positive in welcoming them to our community and giving them a great educational class. So thank you so much for staff and for our Alex for doing everything.
Thank you. We really enjoyed it.
Wonderful. Any other citizens desiring to speak? Seeing none, we will move on. We have no old business, no new business. Mr. Administrator.
Thank you, Board. First item in your packet is the holiday schedule for 2020. Starts on page 4. I do have a resolution here for you to sign. Establishing. Only change that we do, seems like every year, is we move Columbus Day to the day after Thanksgiving. So that's the only change I'm recommending again this year.
I'll make a motion to approve a resolution to establish the 2020 Township holiday schedule as presented.
Second.
Mr. Kratz?
Yes.
Ms. Wallace?
Yes.
Mr. Roberts?
Yes.
Thank you, Board. Now by approving the holiday schedule, I do have the meeting schedule for 2020 as well. Because of one holiday, we'll move the second meeting in May to a Tuesday. I do have a motion on page 7.
I make a motion to approve the Beavercreek Township regular meeting schedule for calendar year 2020 as presented.
Second.
Ms. Wallace?
Yes.
Mr. Kratz?
Yes.
Mr. Roberts?
Yes.
Thank you, Board. It's that time of year for budget dates. I am requesting that all budget items are turned in to me by November 25th at 4:30. That's 2 weeks from today. And then I would request also that everybody check their calendars to see if we can do the budget meeting on December 16th, starting as early as the board would like. That is the in-between Monday.
And so again, it was November 25th, you said?
November 25th is the deadline for the budget items.
That's just close of business that day, I assume, 5
Correct.
PM?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 4:30.
4:30
Yep.
PM.
And then budget day, I would suggest December 16th.
I'm available.
I am too.
I need to look at I'm flying in that day from Tampa,
Oh, okay.
so I need to find out my flights, and I will let you know that
Yeah.
as soon as possible.
Yeah, let me know.
I'm also available the 17th, if that's better.
Thank you.
Do we want to move it to the 17th? I don't know.
I can let them know and then
Yeah.
Okay.
go from there.
Either day.
It's also pushing, it's kind of late. You might consider pushing it earlier.
I am gone the 8th through the 12th.
I'm gone the 10th through the 16th.
I turned 53 on the 13th.
And you're still older than me.
But I can work either of those days.
Okay.
As necessary.
Yeah, the 17th, 16th or 17th are good for me.
Okay, thank you. I'll let everybody know as soon as I hear from Ms. Wallace.
Okay.
Thank you, Board. Next item is on page 8, is the biweekly report for the Sheriff's Office, followed by the monthly report on page 22. Are there any questions for the Sheriff?
I had none.
I had none.
And I have none.
Thank you. Be safe.
Thank you, Board. Next item is on page 33 of your packet is the biweekly report for HR. Are there any questions?
I have none.
Ms. Chris?
I had none. Thank you.
All right. Neither did I.
Thank you, Board. Next item is on page 36, also the biweekly report for the zoning department. Are there any questions?
I have a question on, when we get our new tablets, will we be able to hit the spot on the agenda and go to it rather than scanning through every page?
We should. I'll make sure that the proper app is downloaded and is defaulted. So it should,
Active links.
yeah, the
Yeah.
active link should, they're not working on the program that's,
It's running now,
okay.
and it's just,
It works on my operating
these
system. Might be
apps
an
change, and then
Yeah.
it goes back to the beginning, and then,
Well, I think
You have to
also it's
scan
partly
through.
because every time we open it, it asks us what app to use to open
Okay,
it.
I'll set it as a
And it
default.
always changes what it defaults to,
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I'll make sure.
at least on mine.
mine too.
Right.
Other than that, nothing looks like businesses all but caught up.
I'm sorry, sir, your question was?
And it looks like we've, on target to meet last year's goals, last year's numbers.
Pretty much exactly, yeah. I think we can anticipate another dozen or so homes. In fact, 2 were delivered this morning.
Oh.
So, I mean, it no longer seems that there's a break in the construction schedule. Once the infrastructure is in a subdivision, houses are being built year-round now. So,
Is there any update on, I don't know if they're still calling it Maxwell Place, but essentially.
I
that-
have heard nothing, no. I have no applications.
So the activity that's happening, the road that's being cut in, is that?
That's just for the water line.
It's just for the water line, it's not actually part of the road then?
That's not road construction. No design has been submitted, or even contemplated at this point. Well, contemplated. No one's been contracted to create a design for the actual roadway.
Were those
We know
parcels
that the roadway will be in the same area as,
the hill and kind of?
right.
Last
they
we heard from the
recorded-
engineer, they're actually waiting to see the engineer that the landowners hired to design the roadway. They're waiting for the water project to be done.
Okay, so they're gonna hold, okay.
Mhm.
So
Right.
had they recorded those lots yet, or not?
No,
It didn't appear they did, so.
no. And that shouldn't happen until the actual site plan is approved, the rezoning is approved.
Right.
But they're still well within their limits for site plan approval, won't expire for 5 years. So they've still got a good 3.5 or 4 years left on that site plan before we have to worry about redoing the site plan approval.
Setting that project aside then is for 2020, do you have any new developments coming online or any large phases that will be coming through?
Only new phases of existing subdivisions, Nathaniel's Grove and River Reserve primarily. And we'll see what happens with the 2 remaining sections of River West, also known as Scarborough. As far as I know, they're still being revised according to comments that they've received. And the major complication there is stormwater management. Some changes have been made to the alignment of the roadway in one section of River West because of comments received from the EPA. But beyond that, they still have some stormwater issues to resolve to satisfy local authorities, soil and water, and our stormwater management team here.
And have we had any further issues on Beaver Valley with the mini farm that adjoins Nathaniel's Grove, Phase 1?
I haven't heard anything from anybody for a while. I don't know whether the sheriff's office has received any recent complaints.
Have they been
I don't-
back out, or
I'm
that's
not
settled?
aware.
Not that I know of. We did, staff did meet with the deputy sheriff or Sergeant Moore with a couple of the neighbors. We explained the process to them. One thing is to allow the deputy to go into the house of the complainant to actually hear the noise. So if they're not comfortable doing that, then we have to take that kind of out the window
Right.
cruiser ear, so established. The prosecutor's also aware of the situation for Fairborn Municipal Court, so if we get any additional complaints and we follow the process, we'll definitely be following up with the prosecutor.
In the times that I've had the occasion to drive through the subdivision, the barn doors from which that sound was being amplified have been closed. I wasn't there specifically to check on that violation, but I did observe that the doors were closed and presumably therefore the offending source of sound was turned off.
Okay. Okay. That's all I had.
That's all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
IT.
Thank you, Board. On page 42 begins the biweekly report for IT. Page 44 is the correct amount. I know last time I included the wrong numbers, but as of last Thursday when we ran this report, total for the year is $450. Are there any questions?
I had none.
So we've reduced the problems by almost half of what we had last year in 18.
Yeah, and it usually, so last year, obviously the peaks that we saw were when we implemented something
I
new.
was gonna say it spikes with
Yeah.
projects.
And it's usually, so last year when we
360.
implemented Office 365, there was a lot of spikes there, login issues and so on. So, we're about to bring Phase 2, that was discussed last year, and moving forward in budgeting it this year. I would assume after that gets installed, new servers are online, we'll have a few upticks there, but.
But still, it seems to be going better.
Yes, that's the hope. So we're hoping Phase 2 even improves the even more.
Do we have a renewal proposal, or do we have? or is
It's
it-
automatic renewal, so we have to give a 90-day notice. So it automatically renews until somebody gives a 90-day notice on either side. If we do give a 90-day notice, we do have to pay those full 90 days. We are working with them on their budget. They're recommending to us for stuff for the IT budget. What I've asked them to do is give me a cost for ticketing. Just looking at the numbers and running just some back of the napkin kind of if what I need to determine and to know from them is the average ticket time. So we can determine what the cost is to go to a straight ticketing process or just the flat fee that we're doing now.
Okay.
All right, anything else for IT? If not, we will move on to roads.
Thank you, Board. First item is on page 45 of your packet. It's a resolution to certify .9 mil renewal levy to the county auditor. I have a resolution here for you to sign. Mr. Parks is here to answer any questions.
I have no questions. Hearing no questions, I make a motion to approve the resolution requesting the county auditor to certify the total current tax evaluation for Beavercreek Township as presented.
Second.
Ms. Wallace?
Yes.
Mr. Kratz?
Yes.
Mr. Roberts?
Yes.
Thank you, Board. Next item is the approval of the building attendant job description. We do have a few modifications. I gave copies at your spot, a few recommendations given by Ms. Frick. I am recommending to go ahead and move forward with those changes and to approve it as presented with the modifications.
I'll make a motion to accept the building attendant job description as presented.
I had a question before we,
Do you
I guess
want
second.
to second it and
Second.
make comments?
Discussion.
okay, a second. It says here thorough knowledge of building maintenance operations. I kind of would like to see knowledge of like handyman type, I mean, all kind of situations, but I don't know. I mean, you know, they're building maintenance and,
I think that's something that will come out in the interview process.
okay,
Yeah.
okay, as you can pull that out, then, you know,
Yes.
like, because we're looking at somebody to be a jack of all trades in a sense,
Yes.
that knows a little bit about painting, electrical, and, I mean, even though we'll get electricians for major stuff, but,
Right. Well, and we currently have 2 guys on staff that will kind of, if they don't have that skill, well, let me rephrase that. We have several guys on staff that will help them through that process as a learning curve
okay,
if they
thank
don't
you,
have
Mr.
something.
Parks.
It's hard to teach piano without knowing how to play music.
True.
How fire today?
Please call.
Oh, sorry. Mr. Kratz?
Yes.
Ms. Wallace?
Yes.
Mr. Roberts?
Yes.
Thank you, Board. Next item is the biweekly report on page 50. Are there any questions?
I had none. Were you busy last night?
Started at 7 and we're still going at 7 this morning.
Ms. Wallace, you have that resolution? You need to
Yeah.
sign.
It is the way to kick off the winter season.
No, that's fine.
No.
We'll just need it,
was-
Tim will need it after the meeting.
Okay.
Take it over to the county.
We never signed it. Okay.
I haven't gotten
Oh,
that.
and then
I didn't get it.
it's here. I know I just signed it, but I'll find it.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, it's okay.
Let's put it back in.
It's right in front of me. Never mind. It's all good.
Surprise.
This is like free stories today. Whew. Alrighty.
We're making today gonna be a very interesting topic at dinner tonight.
Was there a resolution for the calendar dates? Or
No, just a motion.
Okay, just wanted to double check, because I
Yep.
didn't get that.
Alright, I haven't lost my mind.
Sorry, resume.
Resume.
If you have no more questions, I'm done.
No, I'm good. Just hope everybody gets
Yeah.
some rest and appreciate them
Yes.
being out all night.
And be safe.
Hopefully we're done for a little bit. It's a
Yes.
little early to start
it was
this,
early.
this time of year.
So,
Did you have the plows already attached, or that
Yes, we
was-
did.
Wow,
Actually, we took last week when we kind of saw the extended forecast and started,
Prepping.
putting everything together and checking it. I think the only thing we had to do last night was switch out one tailgate before we hit
Wow.
the road, so.
well, great job.
wonderful.
Thank you.
Always be prepared. All right,
Yeah, thank you.
fire.
Thank you, board. First item under fire is a request, authorization to go to the 2020 EMS Today conference. Budget justification starts on page 52. Chief Annabus is here to answer any questions. There is a motion on page 53.
I had no questions.
If you can just, 2-minute snapshot of why.
Yes, sir. So this was actually a symposium that the crews or the instructors were looking to go to last year, but we didn't prepare the documents in time. It's a nationwide conference that provides basically train the trainers, so high-level instructors who are going to get information and bring it back to affect policy decisions and training recommendations for our folks, kind of on what the standard of care is for EMS operations for the department. So they'll be looking at anything from community paramedicine, which is an ongoing topic, to things like community outreach, active threat or mass casualty situations, all of those types of things where they can, a seminar like that or a conference like that can bring in speakers that have experience from a nationwide set of instructors to then provide that information so that we can distill out what's appropriate for our department and then bring it back here and then train our folks. So it's the ability to go out and get that high level of training that we can then bring back and make our own for Beavercreek type problems. And these are instructors that we would not be able to bring in ourselves either because we would not be able to accommodate the scale or the size or the fees or those sorts of things. So we're sending 2 of our high level instructors. They're going to go out, they'll distill that information, bring it back, and so it's definitely not a position we take lightly when we even recommend sending folks out. These are guys that we know are going to be able to make good decisions and bring it back, and then they'll have a full report for us on what they've learned.
Okay.
And where is it
Was it one of the
located?
2 minutes?
Where are they going to?
Is it Tampa? I think it's Tampa. It's in the packet, and I apologize, my computer froze up.
Yeah, it
It's
is
in
Tampa.
Florida.
It is Tampa, March
Tampa.
2 through 6.
Okay, just one.
Now, is this something you see us attending yearly, or?
It'll depend on how successful it is this year. So we have not done a lot of outside education for several years, focusing on doing all of our stuff internally. So if there's enough value and they bring enough information back where we think that it's worth continuing to go, we'll make that recommendation based off of that information. But it's certainly not an absolute that we will.
Got it.
And we'll have a similar sort of thing with FDIC, for example. That's the typical fire version of that later in the spring.
Okay.
Gotcha. I'll entertain the
I'll make a
motion.
motion to approve purchase request 09484 to PNC Visa for EMS Today conference and travel expenses in an amount not to exceed $2,950 and to authorize the township administrator to sign for the board.
Second.
Mr. Kretz?
Yes.
Ms. Wallace?
Yes.
Mr. Roberts?
Yes.
Thank you, Board.
Thank you, board. Next item is on page 53 and is a request to modify the auxiliary vans for winter operations. Couldn't come at a better time today.
Yes, Exhibit A is outside. What we've discovered over the past couple of seasons of operations is that the vans work really well in temperate temperatures or temperate weather, but as soon as we get to sub-freezing, there's a number of features that are difficult to maintain because of the cold temperatures. And basically, it has to do with both the freshwater supply and then the gray and black water tanks freezing up. And so these modifications, it's about $2,000 per van for a total of about $4,000. That's a not to exceed price because our quote's a little bit old. It's from last year. So we have a percent increase in there to accommodate essentially a year's worth of inflation. But what we'd like to do is basically move some of the things inside where they can be better temperature controlled, or provide additional insulation or heating elements where we can't move them.
You
that'll
leave-
allow them true four-season capability.
Do you leave those trucks plugged in when they're not in operation?
In the facilities, they are. They have a
Okay.
shoreline, yes, sir.
Okay.
Um,
And then you
The-
run off a generator on site when
Yes.
you're on an incident?
That's correct.
Yeah.
And the modifications here, we actually, the skill set that brought these suggestions up were our folks who do a lot of RVing, and so
Yeah.
they have those types of vehicles that they winterize or operate in four seasons. And so they made these specific recommendations for us for these vehicles.
Okay.
Any other questions?
And none.
I make a motion to approve purchase request 10403 to C.W. Miller for modify 2 auxiliary vans in the amount not to exceed $4,000 and to authorize the township administrator to sign for the board.
Second.
Ms. Wallace?
Yes.
Mr. Kretz?
Yes.
Mr. Roberts?
Yes.
On that subject, do we have a set of chains for those vans or not?
I don't believe so. I don't think we have chains for any of our vehicles, do we?
Okay.
But we have an excellent road department that maintains roads for us. So.
With an excavator?
And there have been times when they've actually had to come out and provide plow service to
I just didn't
incidents,
know
so it's
if
happened.
it was, they're not an expensive thing to have if you needed a set, but just
Yeah.
one of those things.
I would imagine that the training to deploy them in a reasonable amount of time probably would offset the benefit of having them.
Okay.
Thank you, Board. Next item is on page 54 of your package, request the board to authorize to replace the Class B uniforms. There is budget justification on 54 with a motion on page 55.
And this item is similar to what we ran into with the T-shirts. It's been a very long time since we've done any purchasing or ordering of spare shirts, and they're to the point now where they are so old that they're no longer serviceable. And so we're looking to outfit everybody. It's the same type. It's a breathable button-up Class B shirt, and we'll be going with the combination Class B and T-shirt are the two uniform choices for daily operations. And this will go, I think this includes a soft patch instead of a hard badge, which is kind of an industry standard now, because then it takes one more potential weapon away from combative patients or folks, and it's a little more comfortable to wear, especially when you're under your fire gear.
Okay.
I make a motion to approve purchase request 10385 to Phoenix Safety Outfitters for 118 Class B uniform shirts in the amount not to exceed $7,550.82 and to authorize the township administrator to sign for the board.
Second.
Mr. Kretz?
Yes.
Ms. Wallace?
Yes.
Mr. Roberts?
Yes.
Thank you, Board. Next item is to continue on that theme, Class A uniforms for our new employees. Budget justification starts on page 55 with a motion on page 56.
And these are new Class A's for employees that do not have them. So this is not a replacement or upgrade of existing. It's just simply for our new firefighters who are either at the end or nearing the end of their probationary period where we would supply them. And this is the blouse, the pants, hat, the appropriate shoes, and all the pieces that go along with that.
And just for clarification, we provide one set?
Yes, sir.
To everyone?
Yeah, one set of Class A per employee.
For their career or as needed?
We maintain it as needed after that, so
Okay.
we do make modifications, promotions, obviously they'll get a different blouse when they reach a chief officer. If we have to do modifications along the way, alterations, that sort of thing, we do.
But if an
those.
item is damaged or lost along the way, is it replaced by the township or replaced by the employee, or has it never happened?
It's never happened to my knowledge.
Good.
So
Okay.
they take good care of these. So
Okay.
the employees do take care of the general maintenance of them, so dry cleaning, those sorts of things are employee.
Would be good timing. Get him.
That's
before
our
the
goal, is to
dinner.
try and get them, absolutely. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay, I make a motion to approve purchase request 10393 to Phoenix Safety Outfitters for 13 Class A uniforms in amount not to exceed $7,162 and to authorize the township administrator to sign for the board.
Second.
Ms. Wallace?
Yes.
Mr. Kretz?
Yes.
Mr. Roberts?
Yes.
Thank you, Board. Next item is on page 57 of your packet is the biweekly report. Are there any questions?
I had none on the bi-weekly, but back on the subject of uniforms, where do we stand with, we've had a lot of new members join auxiliary. And so explain to us how uniforms work for auxiliary. And
It's very similar for auxiliary, and we will be having a purchase coming. I think Josh is working right now on what the order needs to be. They are provided shirts. We have shirts and winter jackets and hats are the primary things that get issued. And they have a system for how long folks are in before they receive the different types of items. So as soon as that's prepared, I'll have actually all the information in the 15 points to answer probably the questions that I don't know off the top of my head.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
But Josh, the same person who does all of our fire uniforms is also the contact for,
Manages that.
yeah, yes, sir.
Right. And just quick, I like all the public outreach. I love seeing all that. I know that we did a lot on Halloween night too.
Yes, sir.
So thanks to everyone involved for that, so.
Yes, and thank you. I wanted to thank the board for all your support, working up to the levy, and obviously it's successful passing. We're very proud of that and appreciative of the community support, and we will continue to be as responsible with that funding as possible, and obviously the transparency that we have with the board and our purchases, we look forward to continuing so that we have that long-term success on the funding plan.
Good.
I agree, good.
Thank you.
Wonderful, thank you, Chief.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you,
Moving-
board, that's all I have.
Ms. Frick,
Nothing.
Ms. Aaron's,
Nothing.
any MVRPC update?
Had a meeting last week, a lot of things going on, especially the funding for the, Emergency Management Coalition from that MVRPC is heading out. So they're working towards, they're having, monthly meetings to put that whole organization together, and head the, community for funding from FEMA. And there's some classes going on with GIS training, if anybody was interested in doing that. They've got that posted. So it was a pretty, a full meeting.
Thank you. Anything on TAC?
No meeting.
No meeting. No meeting for regional planning.
Yep.
No meeting for health, school, city manager, and township.
Yes, board, city manager and I continue to meet on various topics, mostly related to the tornado. Obviously, one was just mentioned by Ms. Wallace that we continue to attend. There's a meeting this week. We had a meeting last week with EMA. Staff has a meeting tomorrow at 2:30 with Ohio EMA and FEMA. And I'll be attending with the city manager on Thursday, Miami Valley Regional Planning Commission's meeting on long-term recovery from the tornado as well. School superintendent, we discussed some dates and looking at the next couple of months. It is the school's turn to host the joint meeting, and they are wanting us to check to see if we are available December 19th at 6:30 at their location, which is the Kemp Road Board of Education.
I'm good.
I'm good.
Okay.
What day of the week is it?
That is a Thursday.
At 6:30, you said?
Yes, ma'am, 6:30. And I asked the superintendent, we'll give maybe some brief updates on growth, but the last couple times it was township providing a lot of information regarding economic development and growth. I know they have several items on the horizon next year, and asked the superintendent to provide some information on that to the Board of Township Trustees.
To add to that, one topic area I can tell you right now I'd like to add to the superintendent is, with these Russians that came in, we went to ODOT, and ODOT showed us some safety campaigns and some big pushes for roundabouts or traffic circles. And so I'm gonna ask the superintendent to start educating our students in the pre-driving ages to help define yield, the word yield, and what a traffic circle is about, because they're gonna be coming. And I think that we have to, our American public is just not defined enough on what that means. Europeans can do it, they've done it all their lives, but our Americans are not sure and are coming to Beavercreek I think we need to start that education process as soon as we can.
Well, we have a youthful driver in the audience. Do you understand yield in traffic circle?
I think the challenge, like Ms. Wallace said, is it should be incorporated, at some point, it's coming, it needs to be incorporated into driver's ed.
Yes.
And then part of the testing process at some point.
Because most of the time on the highway, I get a hand signal when I'm in a lane and I don't stop for the person to yield. And usually they're with a text and a young person.
Yeah.
So,
Also, I'll provide the information that we got from the training that Mr. Amrine and our county engineer went to regarding roundabouts. I can tell you, we are looking at 3 potential locations in the community for roundabouts.
and that's the only way we're gonna get funded, as ODOT clearly
Yeah.
stated to us
Yeah.
at the meeting.
There's definitely gonna be, they're not gonna be funding traffic lights
No.
very much longer.
And so I think we need to, if we start educating with our In Touch about those traffic circles or roundabouts, I think that'll help everybody, because the signs they're gonna make them very clear, but if you're not used to that process, it becomes very confusing.
Yep, I'll add it.
All right.
Thank you.
Restoration Advisory Board?
We do have a meeting scheduled, December 11th, so I'll provide whatever information I have after that public meeting.
Great. There's a Township Association meeting tonight. Should be a good one. It's at the library. Mr. Kretz, Investment Oversight.
No update at this meeting.
All right. Mr. Kretz, anything for the board?
No, nothing today.
Ms. Wallace?
I again want to thank the citizens of Beaver Creek and Beaver Creek Township in passing the fire levy on the first go-around. We've been a very good stewards of the dollars for the fire department, and I think the citizens have seen the progress of what we've done. But again, we appreciate our citizens for backing this levy and helping the fire department grow and maintain the level of standards that we are working hard on achieving for the next 10 years. So thank you, citizens.
I would ask that today's meeting minutes do reflect that Jillian Roberts was in attendance of the meeting.
Yep.
You have that documented.
Yep. And that was going to be my comment. I had 2, again, appreciation for the overwhelming passage of the fire levy. That speaks loudly for the faith of the community in what we do and what the fire department does. And we will continue to strive to keep that the way it is. And then also to thank our guest, Miss Jillian Roberts. She's applying for the Ohio Township Association scholarships, and one of the requirements is she needs to attend a meeting and ask the other 2 trustees for their signature. So we appreciate you being here, and good luck. With that, I will entertain a motion to go into executive session under Ohio Revised Code, Section 121.22 G1, to consider the employment, dismissal, and discipline and compensation of a public employee.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Kretz?
Yes.
Ms. Wallace?
Yes.
Mr. Roberts?
Yes.
Board, I would ask that the Deputy Sheriff, Sergeant Moore, Trish, and the Fire Chief attend the executive session.
Very well. All right, it is 3:33 p.m. I will entertain a motion to come out of executive session.
So moved?
Mr. Kretz?
Second, yes.
Sorry. Ms. Wallace?
Yes.
Mr. Roberts?
Yes.
Make a
Motion.
motion to adjourn?
Second?
Mr. Kretz?
Yes.
Ms. Wallace?
Yes.
Mr. Roberts?
Yes, at 3:33. Thank you all.